A government-approved pollution-free car. $395 plus tax. Nifty. It appears I'm still on the A list because I got another expensive vehicle delivered. We're going to take it to our garage and test facility in a couple of hours and take a closer look. But since we know it's a Lexus from that grill, we also know it's expensive. We'll see how much real quick. This thing takes corners like a champ. Hard to believe it's an SUV. This is definitely fun. After all that driving in the desert, we need to wash this up before we start the video, so the vehicle will be nice and squeaky clean for you. Got the warning sensor. Warning, warning, Will Robinson, warning. You're under attack by suds. Now that we've gotten this cleaned up and brought it to our garage and test facility, let's take a closer look. Nice looking vehicle, even if you don't like that grille, as some people don't. Doesn't bother me. Pretty decent looking from the side, I think. The hybrid badge, so all your neighbors will know you're trying to save the planet by being frugal with your fuel. And the rear view. And this is what we're driving, NX300h for hybrid. When the NX series was first introduced, a lot of the YouTube tester idiots were saying this is nothing but a Toyota RAV with different cladding. Not true. If I remember, only about 10% of the RAV parts interchange with this. Otherwise, it's new from the ground up, different vehicle. This is handy information to know when you're looking at the price tag, which of course is never cheap on a Lexus. The non-hybrid version starts around 36 grand. If you go hybrid, around 38 grand. As always, there are options to jack the price up. For example, if you want a power-operated door, that is, according to my sheet, an extra $550. If we go inside, this cargo cover, cargo net, and some carpeting that I took out, $383. By the way, there is a spare tire under there somewhere. Rare on hybrids, but good to know. And the usual leather, navigation, other items, we're up to $49,357. What a deal. Part of the option package are these LED swivel headlights, triple beams, $1,515 extra. Wow. Let's take these out right now and see how they work. It's dark enough. Let's take these headlights out and see how they perform. They look pretty fancy to me. Pretty bright too. Here we have the low beams on the building 100 feet away. Very, very bright, but very, very low. Go to high beam. Very, very bright and very, very high. This looks promising. Here we have the brights on the building 300 feet away. Lights up everything real nice. Good wide spread. Certainly no complaint here, but go to low beam. Cuts off rather soon, about 100 feet on the left and 170 feet on the right. Okay for city driving, but this is what you need if you need more light, the high beams. And it looks like we have swiveling headlights that turn with the steering wheel. Handy when going into corners. As far as quality materials and workmanship goes, Lexus did a fine job of this cabin. No cheap plastic in here. Nothing that's noticeable anyway. The rear seating is listed as 3, but in reality we're talking 2 full-size adults, typical for a vehicle in this size class. Or as I've said in my other videos, 3 monkeys. We get a large glove box, holds lots of gear, but only if you take out the super thick owner's manual that will be tossed in the back. You have Eco mode, Normal mode, Sport mode. We will not be using Eco mode. We only use Normal on my test vehicles. The climate controls are very easy to use, and we do get a real clock. It will probably still be working when the warranty expires. You don't get that on an American brand. Warranty goes, the clocks always break. Overall, Lexus did a pretty good job on this interior design, except for a couple things, starting with this. The control for the infotainment system. On most Lexus vehicles, you have what I call the swizzle stick to grab. It's a finger touchpad. And there are a lot of YouTube video testers telling you how great this is. It's just like operating a computer in your living room, but your living room's not doing on the freeway at 75 miles per hour when this vehicle is moving. This is not fun to use. I do not like it. Whether you do or not, well, take it out for a test drive. See for yourself. In any case, whether stick or touchpad, here's how it works. Just go up and down, choose your subject matter, and there you go. This isn't the largest screen I've ever seen, but big enough. Number 2, the gauge cluster is very well designed, lots of useful information in the center pod. Looks very nice, but that's because I'm in the shade. Problem is, when you get out in the sun, you might see something different. Unfortunately, if you go out in the daytime at certain angles of the sun or clouds reflecting off the sun, this is what you see or don't see. It's caused by this plastic cover, and I just don't get it. I mean, from the time they did the basic design, the prototypes, early production models, the test vehicles at the test track, did nobody notice this? Hello? Also, I was looking at some of the other YouTube car test channels to see what people thought about this, and nobody on the entire planet, as far as I could see, noticed this. For if they did, they didn't say anything. Where are they testing these cars at? In a vacuum? Oh well, I don't like this, but it's not a deal killer. It's just kind of annoying. And like I said, it only happens at certain angles. And that's all we have to say about that. Here's what's under the hood: a 2.5 liter hybrid, putting out 194 total horsepower if you combine the gasoline engine with the electrics and generators, batteries, etc. Compared to the non-hybrid vehicle, 2.0 liter, putting out 235 horsepower. According to the Environmental Protection Agency, the non-hybrid vehicle gets 22 city, 20 mpg on the highway, an overall average of 25. This hybrid is supposed to get 33 in the city, 30 on the highway, with an average of 31 mpg. We'll be racking up a lot of miles to see what the real-world fuel economy is, at least 300 miles in this video. So you might want to stay tuned for that segment. Unlike the electric steering systems we get in some other SUVs, especially the German makes, the power steering in this vehicle feels pretty good. Lots of feedback, response. Feels hydraulic. Lexus did a great job. As we're doing all my test vehicles, we're going to take some speed bumps around 20 to 25 miles per hour to evaluate the suspension performance on impacts. If you hear a bunch of rattling, it's not the vehicle. I have boxes of quarters in the back and some tools. I didn't have time to take them out, so no emails about how the car is falling apart. No, it's not. Okay, bump number 1, a mild one. Heard it, but didn't feel it. This is a very strong body structure. Number 2 coming up. And these tires are set at factory specs of 32 pounds. Here's the big nasty one. Wasn't much worse than the others. Overall, no complaints. I already know this vehicle handles quite well, especially in tight corners, because I did that driving over here on backcountry roads. But we got the turning circle here, and security's gone home, so let's take a curve. Oop, bit of wheel spin. Let's switch to sport mode. I'm told it makes a difference, although I'm not sure. Yeah, maybe. Stable, if nothing else. This wasn't made to be a race car, but for an SUV, it handles quite well. Okay, enough show and tell. Now we're going to go out and do some real driving. By the way, I stated earlier in the video that the non-hybrid was rated 22 in the city, 28 on the highway, and an average of 25. I drove the non-hybrid last year. In the real world, I got 20 miles per gallon in the city, 25 on the highway, with an average of 23. Keep that number in mind because we're going to rack up 300 miles on this vehicle today, all in one shot. City driving, country driving, freeway, expressway, off-road, back road, mountain roads, low elevation, 1,200 feet, high elevation, 6,000 feet. All in one day. We're going to see if we can beat the 23 MPG figure with something a bit higher. So off we go. By the way, these wires and tubes are painted orange for a reason, because they have about a jillion volts in there. If you don't have special gloves and get your hands on them wrong, they will vaporize you. Leave them alone. So far, heavy city traffic, we've been getting 26.8 MPG. We're going to take this out on the freeway, see what type of figures we get then. There you go, reset. And by the way, this is a pretty new car, hardly broken in, 291 miles thus far, just in case you need to know things like that. That was a nice 50-mile run. We'll pull over and see what the fuel economy figures say. Well, I was just getting under 30, but climbing some hills and doing some passing dropped it to this, 28.5 thus far. Well, I've got ranch patrol duty again, so we'll stop by the homestead, pick up some supplies, and go out in the desert and see if this will four-wheel. It is an SUV, after all. I got to get that garage roof fixed. I keep saying that in the videos, but I just don't have time. If you like eggs, this is where a lot of them come from. 40 million chickens in there. I wonder what they do with all that chicken poop. Probably make more money off the poop than the chickens. As far as I'm concerned, an SUV is not a real SUV unless you can take it off pavement. And yes, you can take this vehicle off pavement as long as you realize you're driving a car and don't try to chase the Jeep Wranglers and Range Rovers. There is adequate ground clearance. And surprisingly, there's very little bumper overhang to scrape when you're getting into dips. The weight distribution of this vehicle seems rather even, which helps when you're driving through soft sand like this. Okay, our chores are done. We're going to get back on the freeway. Then we're going to take a trip to the mountains and then come back on another freeway and then do some city driving. By the time we're done today, we might have around 300 to 400 miles. Then we'll check the fuel economy again. If you like cruising backcountry roads, this is definitely a good one for you, especially cruising around 45 to 55 miles per hour. Very smooth and quiet car, you'll get better fuel economy. We're taking another highway trip, climbing from 1,200 elevation feet to around 4,500 to 5,000 feet. And I must say, the torque from this system, the hybrid system that is climbing these hills quite well. Plenty of torque here. It's not breathing hard at all. You gotta be careful driving on this road, no guardrails. It's a long drop. I'm in the mood for a nice steak. Oh, that is hideous. Her name's Hillary. There's a joke in there somewhere. I'll let you figure it out. Well, you know you reach civilization when you see a sign like that. This is a pretty nasty road, but the suspension is doing a pretty good job of absorbing the impacts. And the rattles you hear, no, it's not the vehicle. I have a bunch of gear in the back I never got rid of. Those are the rattling noises, not the vehicle. I don't think this vehicle is going to rattle anytime soon. It's built pretty well, nice and solid. It was a long climb, but we finally made it. I think we're at elevation 6,000 or 7,000 feet. I can't remember. Doesn't matter. We're here. Here's my luxury cabin I just bought from the Clampetts. They went over to Beverly Hills. They don't need this anymore. Well, this swing in town's too much excitement for me. Time to wrap up this video. And it's a long, long drive back down this road. Maybe we'll stop and see what type of fuel economy we got today. Come on, LC, quit blocking the road. Maybe I shouldn't argue with someone who has a nice sharp set of horns like that. Here we go with the rear end again. Well, on our trip today, we drove every type of condition you could think of. City, county, interstate, expressway, on-road, off-road, sand in the desert, mountains, forest roads. And we end up here at the good old ranch homestead. So let's take a peek and see what our fuel economy was for today's trip. I told you at the beginning of this video we're going to rack up 300 miles today and missed it by that much. 27.3 seems reasonable to me. That included a lot of hard driving and off-roading, by the way. That's not too far off from the claimed 31. So what's my take on this Lexus after a week of driving? Well, putting the price aside and just looking at the vehicle itself, I'm very impressed. This is a very well-made, well-engineered vehicle, equal to anything the Europeans are putting out for the same price category. It is not a dolled-up Toyota. Personally, I prefer the non-hybrid NX, but if you want a hybrid and like driving in style and luxury, this is definitely worth a look. Here are some videos for other hybrids we've driven. Just click and watch.